guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave Up here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with my dear friend, mindset coach Brett D. Scott. Brett owns a business called Freedom Coaching, and you can go check out his website, brettdscott.com. If you do follow me on Facebook, then you would have seen probably a few weeks to a month ago, I was on Brett's show. He has a vodcast series called Mastering Success. And if you go to the Mastering Success vodcast Facebook group, you'll see the interview there. All the links are below, so you can check it out. I thought it was time to have him on my show. Now, seriously, I don't know what Brett has not achieved in his life. He has dabbled in everything. But we are going to chat about his career, specifically in real estate. Going from a real estate agent to now a mindset coach. It's a bit of a jump. And we also have a chat about the law of attraction and the movie The Secret. If you haven't watched that already, I highly recommend it. And I feel like you're going to come out of this interview feeling so inspired, so motivated, and it's going to really help you, especially if you have any blockages to stop you from actually achieving the life of your dreams. Or as he says, mastering success. So much to cover today. So let's get into it now. Brett, welcome to Rave It Up. How you going today?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on my show this time. For those who don't know, I was on Brett's Mastering Success vodcast series only just recently, right? Probably a few weeks to a month ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
You can go check that out on either my Facebook page or also Brett's Mastering Success vodcast Facebook group, which is public, isn't it? So everyone can go check it out.
It's public, yeah.
I'll make sure to link everybody to it so they can go check out our other interview. We originally met at the We Are Podcast Virtual Summit with heaps and heaps of people around the world, but then we kept in contact, and I am privileged to now call Brett a very good friend of mine. We always chat on the phone and stuff, and he invited me on his show, and now you're on mine, so it's a real privilege. And I gotta say, it was so much fun being on yours. You're a fantastic interviewer, and that's coming from someone that does it as a living, so good job. I really want to know, you probably only know like the ballpark figure, but do you know how many interviews you've done now?
Yeah, I've done, today was my 64th for Mastering Success. The interesting part, and I know we're not sort of diving straight into it, but the interesting part for anyone that, wants to do what you do or likes the way that I present, all it takes is a bit of repetition. It just takes you moving forward, just having a go and just having another go and having another go. And look, I'm sure you're the same as me, like even with, after all, your hundreds, if not thousands of interviews, but I'm sure you're still hearing yourself or looking at yourself and thinking, there's something I could get a little bit better. I could do a little bit better here, but that's good. That's healthy.
So 64, were you interviewing before then as well? Is there probably more than 64?
No, there are literally 64. It reminds me of a song that I sang in primary school, when I'm 64. Yes, and I know I won't give up my day job. No, so I definitely haven't interviewed before, but it's interesting, and obviously we'll dig into when you ask me some questions in relation to my journey, but really and truly, this is the power of doing the internal work. And this is really what I want to sort of expose some of your audience to. Well,
I'm definitely covering all bases of your story today, so I'm very excited. I loved researching you and just like our phone chats that we have, how many things I've just come up with topics that I can talk to you about, just some things you'll say on the phone. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to write that down for when I have him on my show and talk to him about it. And something, since we are on the topic of your vodcast series, something I would really love to know, because your actual business is called Freedom Coaching. How come you haven't named your vodcast series that?
Yeah, it's interesting because I started the vodcast before I got into coaching. And in fact, the vodcast was really just a webinar series. And in fact, it was just a webinar. It started off one of my colleagues who I was in a mastermind group with, a different mastermind group. He egged me on and said, we should do a webinar series, so we can, get more people to find out more about, what it takes to be successful. And I was like, And so originally my show was called What is Success?
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah, I nearly went back to it. When I started with Ronzi and James's mastermind group, I was actually really considering going back to my original name, What is Success? But the reason I kept Mastering Success is because, it's kind of like what I said in regards to anyone who wants to be a host like you, that wants to be a public speaker. It's all about repetition. It's all about understanding that there's going to be a period of growth, and it's like everything that we get good at and some things we get bad at, everything is via repetition. It takes repetition. You're not going to be the best the first go. And if you are, well, maybe you're just a freak of nature. But most of the time, this is actually the way the world works. This is the way our 3D physical world works. Everything is in a high speed of vibration. Literally everything. Everything is energy. Like the way that our body is, we're not, this body that I'm tapping is not solid. We are not solid. Nothing is solid. This microphone, everything is at a high speed of vibration. We just can't see it with our eyesight. If you get a magnifying glass, or probably a microscope is probably the better one. Get a microscope, you'll be able to see the actual, maybe not the atoms or whatever firing around, but you can actually see that things aren't solid. And so, it sounds like I'm going on a tangent, but why I'm saying that is to get us back, bring us back, I should say, to the question, which is the reason I didn't call it freedom coaching is because I hadn't yet even decided I was going to be a coach. In fact, me becoming a coach, I thought that was going to be a 2-year journey. 2 years was my, and this is a really important thing for your audience to be thinking of. Whatever you make a decision on today that you think you're going to do in the future, just be aware that sometimes, especially if you do the work, like the internal work on yourself, things are going to come to you a lot quicker. And you might have an idea about, and in fact, I had one of my other clients had an idea of something for 5 years and it happened in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the important thing for us to all remember, even me at times, is you only know what you currently know. And when we head down a journey of really getting an internal understanding of who we are and what makes us tick, you're going to actually learn more things, which means you're going to grow, which means you're going to have more awareness, which means you're going to have better understanding, which means the things that you are seeking you. It's actually a thing. And that means that some things are actually going to happen a lot quicker. In fact, my whole journey last year, which I'm sure you'll dig in and ask me questions about, some of the things that happened, I just went, like when they were happening, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, how did that happen? And then I went, oh, that's right. I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this. It's beautiful when you can see the work you've done to know how you get somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to try not to get too fired up.
Well, I was going to say, let's dive into it, because I could say, you could technically say your whole coaching journey really started back in 2006 when you did watch The Secret for the first time. And if our audience has not watched that movie yet, I highly, highly recommend it, and so does Brett. So I personally know what grabbed your attention about that movie because I freaking love it. But can you tell our audience what grabbed your attention particularly? Because obviously you're still using it to this day. The amazing law of attraction.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, the Secret, it's so beautifully filmed. It's so it's basically in its way a documentary, and it's sharing Rhonda Byrne, who created the movie, she's actually from Melbourne, Australia.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and actually I've got some more inside goss because I know people behind the scenes, or I know people who know people behind the scenes. So, interestingly, Kerry Packer was behind the funding for the movie, which I didn't know. Kerry Packer? No, not Kerry Packer. Who's the other Packer? The son? James Packer. Yeah, James Packer. James Packer's behind it. Anyway, Rhonda, her background was film, and so she knew how to TV and film, so she knew how to do that side of things. But she created The Secret because of her own journey, and I resonate with her in its way, although we're very different, I'm male, she's female, although we're very different, I resonate with what she did because she created this movie like in 3 years. So her journey started 3 years prior to her releasing the movie. So 2003, she was in a dire situation. Like, you know, I think she was like about to lose her home, or it was dire. And her daughter brought her this book. Now, she doesn't tell you in the movie what the book was, but I can tell you what the book was. It was The Science of Getting Rich. And the author of that book, if you've never read it, is Wallace D. Wattles. And when you first read it, just like me, I only read that book for the first time in 2018. And when I first read it, I thought, this is like science fiction. Like it's so far-fetched. Like I felt like it was a little far-fetched. But when you start to get more awareness, when you actually start to get new results, when you start to get greater understanding about how some of these universal laws work, you really get to understand why Rhonda Byrne, back when she decided to create this movie called The Secret, why that book really impacted her. And in that book, even though it's the science of getting rich, people think money, money, money. It's not necessarily money. Rich, wealth, they're words that are used to dictate money or what money can bring. But richness and wealth can actually mean I actually feel rich internally, or I have a wealth of knowledge, or I have a wealth of friendships, whatever it might be. So, you know, getting back on topic with The Secret, what happened to me when I first saw it is I've loved movies. Like I've got hundreds of books. And in fact, many of my books, right up until November of 2018, I hadn't really opened a book other than getting to like chapter 1. And then my bookmark goes in and then it goes back on the bookshelf because I'm too tired, I can't concentrate, blah, 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 excuse. But movies, I could definitely, I'm sure many people watching could resonate with this, can sit down and watch a 2-hour movie, you can sit down and watch an hour, maybe even watch a movie marathon, you know. But this movie, the reason, because I love quality movies, as soon as it starts, it grabs you. You're like, oh, what the hell's going on here? So if you haven't seen it, make sure you do watch it. It's really well done. The way that the music and the feel, like the emotion and everything in it, you're like, what the hell is this secret? And I remember thinking, what is this secret? Yeah. And look, and that's why it took off. That's why it took off. Like nobody in this this personal development, this thought leader movement, nobody had ever been able to get so many people's attention around the globe. Like it was the first thing of its, and it wasn't via the internet. It was via like either a DVD or it was on a USB stick. So we didn't have people sharing on Facebook or whatever the social media channels we use. They actually were getting across to each other via USB or a DVD. So, and then the book was actually secondary. Sorry about the noise. The book was secondary. Sorry, there's some renovation going on next door. So the movie itself, it impacted me so much because there was the first time I'd ever heard that you were actually in control, or could be in control, of manifesting things into your life via the law of attraction. And I remember thinking, wow, you mean I can just think of something long enough with a bit of consistency and it could show up in my life? Now, some of the things, I want to put a bit of caution for everyone, because the secret really isn't in the secret. And that might seem a bit, why am I going to go and watch it if the secret's not in it? Well, the premise, it's kind of like an awakening. And what it does is awakens the fact that there's an ability for you to be in control of life and not for you to just be reactive to what's going on in your current, circumstance, reality. You can change your reality, but, the whole process takes a few different tools and a few different, like it's a recipe. It's not just one thing, and I'm sure you're going to ask me some more questions on the breakthrough or even a breakdown. But with the movie itself, I'll try and keep it on track with that. With the movie itself, it did actually enable me to attract some pretty amazing things. In fact, I don't know if you can see it. Actually, I'll see if I can grab it. don't know if you can see that, but that is the REIV, Real Estate Institute of Victoria's Residential Salesperson of the Year for 2007. Now, that award, I remember when I got nominated, which was huge just to be nominated, and I was only less than 3 years in the industry. So if I had have logically thought about it, I really wasn't, there was there's in Victoria, if you're not from Australia, in Victoria, it's very big, it's a pretty big state. And there's how many million people living there? And it would be millions. And I didn't actually think about the fact that who am I to be able to win this? I was less than 3 years in real estate. 2005, I started in real estate. So it was, less than 3 years, so 2.5. But I wasn't thinking about that. All I was thinking about, using the law of attraction, I was just thinking, I've been nominated, I have an opportunity, and I just kept thinking about it. And I kept thinking about how amazing it would be and what I'd be able to do once I won this award. And this might sound a bit airy-fairy. I remember seeing a dragonfly hovering near my car. And I was working in a suburb called Brighton, which is near the beach, and it's not near any lakes, it's not near any rivers, and that's where dragonflies hang out. Dragonflies don't hang out in back streets, in the middle of nowhere, in a back street. We weren't right near the beach, so it wasn't even near the beach, not near any water. And a dragonfly is just hovering around my car. And I love dragonflies. For some reason, I just have this, not usually a guy thing, usually women like dragonflies, but I really love these dragonflies. And as soon as I saw it, I knew that was my sign that I've won the award. And all I was thinking is, I've won the award. I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually going to win this award. And that's all I was thinking about, right? And I remember sitting there, and another funny synchronicity to the story is the host of the event was Andrew O'Keefe, who had a show called Deal or No Deal. And I was the first ever person to win on Deal or No Deal. I won $120,000, right? $120,000. Now, the only interesting fact about that is that I was the first trial run. I won $120,000, but I couldn't keep it. And so when he called my name and I went up to get the award, the first thing I said to him is, can I have my check now for $120,000? And I said, you probably don't remember who I am. And he goes, Concierge Magazine. I used to own a magazine publishing business. And he said, Concierge Magazine.
What haven't you done in your life? It's unbelievable.
Done a few things.
But he remembered you.
And he remembered me. Yeah, he remembered. Well, I'm sure you would remember someone you didn't give money to. Yeah, my business partner, Con, and I, who were on the show together, we were devastated that, we got up for that. And so, because there's an audience of, say, I think maybe 300 or 400 people. And so for you to get called up, it's like a big thing. So we knew that it was pretty unlikely that we're going to be called up for the actual thing, although that should have been what happened. If we're practicing, surely we should get to actually do the run again. Anyway, but it was quite funny. It was a funny story. Yeah. So it was like another, almost like another universal sign for me to say that this is mine. I didn't get to win on his show, but now I get to win.
Award that you actually have worked really hard for. I love it. Yeah. And in 2014, you were unfortunately delivered a massive blow financially that you just knew would end your marriage, and you just decided then and there that you didn't want to be this man anymore. That's a big gap between 2006 of watching Law of Attraction and 2014. So were you using the Law of Attraction in between those times, or were you still learning about it? And what made that moment be a life changer?
That's a good question. And I had followed one of the main stars from The Secret was Bob Proctor. And if you don't know who Bob Proctor is, he's considered you may as well call him the godfather of personal development. He's one of the most influential success coaches. Most people know of Tony Robbins. I'm only using that name because he's so well advertised. Social media, people share his stuff all the time. Bob Proctor isn't as well known. He is still, like, he's a multimillionaire. His business is huge. And the reason that I love Bob is, one, I felt like everything he was saying was very truthful. It was like he was giving you the tools. And the only problem was I didn't know how to use the tools. Like, I knew he was giving me gold. I just didn't know how to create the jewelry out of the gold. I didn't know how to create stuff with it. And, and I think that's with anyone that, that's doing some amazing things. Often they can give you everything, but if we don't know how to use it, you can give, what is it? Like, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, that type of thing. So Bob Proctor, I followed him for that whole period right up until, I haven't stopped. But if you talk about when I had the breakdown and in between me winning that award in 2007, so 7 years from when I won it, yes, I was using the law of attraction at times, but the problem was I had such negative, non-serving habits, like really bad habits. And when you have a lot of bad habits, I don't know about anyone watching or listening, when you have a lot of bad habits, you tend to make excuses for yourself. And you tend to say, you know what, I know that I shouldn't be doing that, but this, but that. You give yourself excuses. You basically, when you're operating with a lot of bad habits, like I was, a lot, you tend to try and take yourself off the hook as much as possible. And look, it's kind of natural because you're trying to live life. Otherwise, you'd just be telling yourself you're an absolute moron. What the hell are you doing? But the biggest problem was for me, I wasn't being honest and I wasn't being truthful. First of all, with me, and then in turn with everyone else. In fact, I would manipulate situations if it didn't suit me. And it wasn't that I was totally selfish, but I was. It wasn't that I was totally selfish, but I was selfish in the fact that if it didn't fit in with me having a good time or me feeling comfortable, I wouldn't want to do it. So, and I find a way to manipulate the situation. So yes, I was, because the law of attraction, this is an interesting thing. If anyone knows what the law of attraction is, it's an immutable law. Like, you can't not have the law of attraction. It's always there. And that means it's always working, whether that's good or bad. But you can get it to work in a good way or in a more positive way if you focus your attention on what it is that you actually want, and not just focus your attention, but then take action.
Yeah, because it does really start with your thoughts. And if you're thinking about all this, these bad habits and, you're being quite selfish, the law of attraction isn't going to reward that at all. Especially if you maybe have a bit of bad self-talk, like I know that probably a lot of us do certain times of our life. If you've got that bad self-talk, you're just going to get more of that negative energy into your life through all different ways.
And look, this is a really simple thing for everyone to think about. And a lot of these things are simple. Doesn't mean they're easy, but they are simple. And the simplest way to look at the law of attraction is what you focus most of your attention on is what you're going to attract. Now, the trap for some people is what happens to us when we have, and let's just say you've got, like, you really have trouble getting money. Like, you're earning some money, but all the money's covering bills, and you're really struggling to make anything to be able to go on a holiday or to buy a new car. And it's very normal. Like, a lot of people go through it. Like, I can pay the bills, and I can pay for the school fees and blah, 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 but I can't do anything for myself, and I can't really take a holiday. And, and so what we're doing, and you might know the law of attraction, you go, yeah, but this is what I want more money. I want to go on holiday. I want this, I want that, right? And you're saying those things, but all your real attention, and internally, like you talked about negative self-talk, all the internal dialogue that's going on is, I'm just sick and tired of not having enough money. I'm sick and tired of not being able to go on a holiday.
Got a bad relationship with money, really deep down in the core. So no matter what you say, it doesn't matter. You've got to change the internal. As you said, like right at the beginning of the interview, it all starts with the internal work.
It does. And look, there's a process that we all have to go through. And I've created, I think, I stumbled across it. I haven't stumbled across it. I've done a lot of work on it. But I think I created a really good 6-point system to help people to understand. In fact, I'll share it with you at the end. Just remind me to share my 6-point system. Yeah, I got a 6-point system. I'm still working out some of the details, but it will give people guidance to actually start really getting things working properly if it's not working for them already.
If our audience want to be coached by you, because I think you've already proven that you know your stuff, they can go to brettdscott.com. And I do love that you're sharing, all your life lessons with your clients. And I love your phrase, and I'm even going to write this down and put it in my room because I love it. You don't have to go through a breakdown to get a breakthrough. That is just gold. And especially if people watching our YouTube video right now, they could probably see, a lot of Superman stuff in the background, and you're definitely known for wearing like the Superman logo and all your promo photos and stuff. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering why. It's because you're not perfect, isn't it? It's kind of like Superman, still has his weakness of kryptonite. Is that sort of where it's coming from?
I don't know if you can see, probably can't quite. Can you see there's a picture? Can you see the picture over there with
Very vaguely. I can't read it properly.
No, that's right. And I'm not sure if the screen's backwards. But anyway, I should have set it up differently. Anyway, on that picture that you guys can't see, there's a picture of Superman breaking out of chains, but the chains are made out of kryptonite. They're green chains.
Oh, what a cool photo.
Yeah, it is a cool photo. And he says kryptonite. Yeah, kryptonite nevermore. And look, the reason I ended up going with Superman, and it is a really good story. I'll try not to make it too long. It is a good story though. So Superman, the beautiful thing about my journey with Superman is that as a young child, in fact, at the age of 1 probably, and 2 at the oldest, I had an affinity with Superman, real strong affinity from a very young age. And my mum was like, really surprised at how connected I was. In fact, she was very nervous about me getting a Superman costume because I kept nagging her for a Superman costume, I think at the age of 2. She would not buy me a Superman costume because she was so concerned that I would jump off the roof. I was a very adventurous kid, right? So she bought me a Batman outfit instead. So I thought, I'm pretty sure on the cartoon I've seen Batman glide. I remember thinking that. I'm pretty sure Batman glides. So I still jumped off the roof and I landed in a rose bush. I didn't fly. And I remember crying. But, so it was a good lesson. Sometimes we're going to go through those lessons. But anyway, getting back to Superman, the reason I've chosen to show up as Superman, or, when I first showed up online on social media, it was Clark Kent turning into Superman. Now I show up as a version of Superman. And yes, it's not saying that I'm perfect and I'm indestructible. What it's saying is that I have become my own savior. I've loved Superman for such a long time. And the reason, and unconsciously I didn't realize this until I got my conscious awareness of it, Superman, if you know what Superman stands for, he stands for truth and justice and the American way, but let's leave the American way out of it for the moment. But truth and justice. And if you remember me saying, I was being so untruthful to myself for so many years and never understanding why I couldn't break that pattern because I didn't have the right tools and I didn't have the understanding of how to do it. And justice is about, looking after everyone and making sure that everyone is looked after and in it, everyone has justice. I'm trying to put this in a better way. Everybody has equal footing. There's justice for everyone. And that's kind of how I operate now. Not kind of, that is how I operate now. I operate with absolute truth and absolute justice. And I was like, oh my God, when I got that realization, I thought one of my clients is a photographer and he said, let's do some fun stuff. I said, what if I do like a Clark Kent to Superman? Yeah, do that. So it was just a fun idea. But then when I shared it, someone said, oh my God, that's freaking awesome. I went, maybe that's a good idea. So, some of these things just like, it wasn't even done on purpose. It just organically sort of came together. And, and so for me, it's not about me being any more special than anyone else. It's just that I have realized, I was always looking for a way to be saved on the outside. But no longer do I do that. I now know I'm my own savior. I am my own Superman. So it's not about anyone else. It's just about what it is for me. And so now I help others to become their own superhero. Not that they have to, don a costume or put on a cape. But it's really just about helping people to save themselves. It's not about me saving anyone. It's about me giving people the tools to be able to save themselves.
I am loving this, and I'm sure heaps of other people are loving it too. Who knows? You might be getting heaps of clients out of this. I do want to go back to that great real estate award just sitting there in the corner, because you did mention before you got into coaching you were a real estate agent, and I could not believe that when I first heard it. I was like, wow, like, as I mentioned, what haven't you done? Like, I swear you've done it all. And you also have a qualification in business and fitness. That's another real surprising factor. Was it hard for you to go from a job in real estate, where probably a lot of people say it's a more stable job, to go to working for yourself in something that was very, unknown for you at that time?
Do you know, I'll tell you, the one good thing that happened, I didn't have a dad growing up, and that's another part of the story, but I did have a mum. And I still do. And I still have a dad, but he's not really my dad. But my mum always instilled in me that I could do anything. She always said, there's nothing that you can't do. You can do and be anything you want. And that was at a young age. So I think that, really stuck with me, because if you understand how the mind works, up until the age of about 7, your mind is completely open. Sorry, let me take it back a step. There are two parts to our mind. There's the conscious part of your mind, which is your logical mind. It's where your imagination is. It's where I can tell you something and you can go, I don't like that. Or, yeah, I really like what you're saying, like what you said before. But then we have our subconscious mind, which is our automatic part of our mind. It's our belief mind. It's where we don't have to think about it. You don't have to consciously think, is my subconscious doing its job? It just works, like these hands going like that. I don't have to think about how to move them.
Yeah, you don't have to consciously go, oh, am I breathing?
Yeah, exactly. Breathing, moving. Like once you program, right? Like when we learn to walk, all these different things. But the subconscious is, the conscious part of your mind doesn't really start to form until the age of about 7 and ongoing. Whereas the subconscious is there, like from a very young age, from about the age of 2 or 3, and it's fully open. Like just information dumped in, so, and that's good and bad, so good information, bad information. So in regards to work or, being able to go from one thing to the other, I'd never really worried about it unless if someone said, oh, why don't you go for a job as a policeman, or why don't you go to university and study to be a doctor? Well, there are some limitations to what I would think that I could possibly do. But if I had even like a tiny little iota, or if someone told me that maybe I could do that, oh, can I? I'll give you an example. So my first real taste of work, I was expelled from school, by the way, at the age of 15. Yeah, I was expelled from school. And what happened was I was given an ultimatum, either pull up your socks, literally, and not literally, pull up your socks and don't get into any more trouble throughout the year, or go and get a job. And I thought, I'm just going to go and get a job, because I knew I couldn't commit to not doing anything wrong at that time. And so I went and got a job working in retail at a clothing store. Pretty sure they're still around, Roger David. When I worked at Roger David at the age of 15. And that lasted for about 2 or 3 months. And then I went and got a job as an apprentice waiter. And again, I'll try and make this not long, because I've done a lot of things. Apprentice waiter. And then I got into, I didn't complete it because I was actually being bullied, or you might as well call it abused, by the owner of the business. It's a very prestigious establishment in will I say the suburb? In Victoria, somewhere in Victoria. And so I ended up leaving that. But I still kept waitering because I'd learnt pretty much how to do it. It's just I didn't have the qualification. Not that you need one for waitering these days. You just need to have your, whatever that certificate is to say you can actually serve people.
Yeah, RSA.
RSA, yeah, responsible service of alcohol, yeah. And then I became a bartender, and so I was in that hospitality, serving, and I got to a point where I was just a bit frustrated. I went and got some kinesiology, if anyone knows what that is. And kinesiology really unblocked me for a number of areas that I was kind of blocked and stuck. And I finally got this opportunity, which was through the Centrelink or through the government. And it was kind of a job where you had to learn, it wasn't called environmental landscaping back then, but that's pretty much what it was. It was working with the natural habitat and then planting trees and understanding all the different horticultural names and everything. I learnt everything that they could teach me in 2 to 3 weeks. And it was a 6-month course. And at the end of 3 weeks, one of the supervisors came to me and said, look, Brett, there's nothing else we can teach you. You know it all. Do you want to be a supervisor as well? So I ended up becoming a supervisor. And then at the end of that, they nominated me for an award, which I won, which was the Trust for Young Australians Award. So at the age of 19 or 20 or whatever I was, I won this award. And then I got told, hey, you could set up your own environmental landscaping business. Oh, could I? So I then set up my own environmental landscaping business. I went and did a business course to actually learn how to create a business plan and all that sort of stuff. And I created my business. Now, I wasn't great with figures, hence in 2014 when I had the big financial upheaval. It's the reason why numbers and Brett don't really go together. So, and I have an accountant now with this business. So I was actually working. I had to end up getting a part-time job so that I could pay for the jobs that I was doing for other people because I was underquoting too far. And then I have to buy all these materials and I didn't do that research properly. Anyway, I'm making this short-winded story. So then from there, I ended up, from doing that, I ended up going into hotels. Now, I went and worked, I got offered a job. Actually, I went and saw a friend, and the manager that was working there said to my friend, who was that guy? Would he be interested in working here? And my friend said, I don't know, I'll ask him. So I ended up getting the job. Very quickly, I ended up being recognized by a general manager from another hotel. He asked me to work for him. Went and worked between the 2 hotels. At that hotel, I had so many recommendations or testimonials from people staying in the hotel that the general manager asked me to become a concierge for the hotel. So then I had to go and learn it all. I'm trying to make this a short-winded one. Learned it all, met all these other concierges, became an assistant concierge in a 5-star hotel, then went and became an assistant chief concierge in another city, had to go and learn a whole new city. So I went from Melbourne to Sydney, then Sydney back to Melbourne as a chief concierge. And then I worked for Europcar as their hotel account manager. Then I went and got my own magazine publishing business. I'm kind of shortening these things. But the point is, to answer that question about what have I not done or what have I done, I've done a lot of things, but the beautiful part for me moving forward is I never had that limitation built in me that said I couldn't do it. I was always prepared to give it a go. I'll have a crack.
Well, I guess that's kind of comes back to the subconscious mind with your mum just saying you can do anything you want to do. It's obviously just been ingrained in you that you can do anything you want. So definitely, be grateful for your mum for doing that when you were young.
Absolutely, yeah. My mum's exposed me to a lot of really positive things that have enabled me to do what I do today.
Well, you definitely live life to the fullest too, doing it all.
I have. And look, there's obviously so many more parts to the story, but the one thing for your audience to remember is everyone has the ability to do whatever they want to do. And the only problem that a lot of us have, and all of us have different things that are blocking us, and the first part of the problem, this is what I'll give you in one of the 6 steps. First part of the problem is getting the awareness that it's not your job, it's not your boss, it's not your parents, it's not your partner, it's not your kids that are stopping you from doing certain things you want to do. It's you. You've got to, first of all, get the awareness that you're the problem.
Well, this is a good connection to what I wanted to talk about next, because another reason I think you're an amazing role model is that you've actually started this later on in life. And to go to, you know, one of the blockages that everybody has, or, you know, a lot, probably I'd say 99% of the population think that, you know, if they haven't done it in like their 20s or maybe early 30s, that it's way too late and they can't start later on in life, when, like, really, come on, life is a long thing. You can start whenever you want to. You're just blocking yourself. And I think for you, you're like the, as I said, best role model for this, because you have started later on in life and you've tried everything, no matter what age you are.
I love that you're asking that question. Yeah, I call myself the late bloomer thought leader, right? I'm actually a thought repeater at the moment, but I will be a thought leader. And I'm heading in that direction because I have a virtual assistant who keeps getting me to give her quotes. So I keep having to think of these quotes, which aren't anyone else's, that are mine. So I'm moving in that direction. But the reason I say that is that if anyone has an excuse, like I'm too young, or I don't have enough experience.
A lot of people, when they're later on in life, they automatically say goodbye to their dreams just because they think it's too late.
Yep, 100%. And look, really and truly, even you brought up my mum before, so I'll bring her up again. My mum, at the age of, how old is she? What am I? She's let's just say 60 something. She's 60 something, and she. And I know she won't mind me saying this, she recently, following what I've been doing, has decided that she needs to make changes. And so she has been doing a lot of internal work. Now, she's been exposed to this information a lot longer than I have. In fact, she's read more books than I have. You know, we've got a whole lot of books and she's read most of them. But the point is that it doesn't matter what age you are, absolutely. Like, you know, and that's why I'm excited and proud that I've been able to do it now, because all through my 20s and all through my 30s, I always striving for success, always striving to achieve, decent level of success. And every time I would get there, this is why I said you don't need to have a breakdown to have a breakthrough. I did, because I wasn't listening. But hopefully you're getting this message, is that I was in a constant cycle of self-sabotage. Every time I would get to a decent level of success, including this one, I had an opportunity. I'll give you an example. I had an opportunity when I won that award. The owners of the business said, they were so proud and so freaking excited. And they said, hey, could you go and help out with one of the other guys who's going to buy into the Bentley office? And then the guy at the Bentley office who bought into that said, hey, why don't you buy into the business as well and we can be business partners? And then I got on, and I was like, oh, I don't know. That means I've got to spend money. I'd rather earn money. And what I'm trying to get at is my constant cycle of sabotage, because I was so focused on give it to me now. And this is a lot of the millennials, a lot of the people that are in their 20s, perhaps, that millennial. I was a millennial. I wasn't a millennial. What am I? I'm an X, whatever they are, X, Y. I don't know. I'm an X, whatever the X is. I'm an X. But I had that millennial mindset where, I need it today. I need it today. So I was always focused on how do I get the magic pill? How do I get something immediately? And now it's a good thing to have, but it's also good to have balance. So it's also good to be thinking, okay, well, yeah, let's try and make things happen quicker, but what is the long-term, focus? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? How are you going to retire? Sometimes you might be thinking, I'm in my 20s and 30s. Why am I going to bother about retiring just yet? That's another 40, 50 years away. Well, I promise you, the reason it's so important, because I didn't do it, and I'm having to do it now. And that's okay. Like, that's the reason it happened for me. I remember when I finally realized I was going to be successful. Did I finish this story? Yeah, I kind of did. I ended up taking a job as a sales manager down the coast instead of actually buying into a business and having, potential. And the company that I was working for were really successful. So it would have been a great investment. Anyway, but But I had to go through all those things, not for me, well, it is for me, but not solely for me, because when I finally realized I was going to be successful, I remember saying to myself, or saying to the universe, or saying to God, if you want to call it that, I remember saying, why the hell did I have to wait until I was 40-something? I was 43, in case anyone's wondering. I'm 45 now. And I remember thinking, why did I have to wait until I'm in my 40s? Because I always imagined I would be successful at a younger age. Well, the reason I had to go through it, so this is why you should be hopefully taking some good lessons from me, I had to go through it so that I could pass on the message to other people. So that, as you said, with the quote that I coined, you don't have to go through a breakdown to go through a breakthrough. This could be your breakthrough. You'd be going, holy shit, he's right. Okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And I'll share some points on that.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, you've had an incredible past, an amazing present, and also amazing future coming up, because you've got a new book coming out. This week, you just started your Freedom Coaching YouTube channel as well. Congratulations. And who knows what else? It's just going to be an incredible future for you, and we're definitely going to keep a lookout for all that stuff. But I think we should probably maybe finish up with your 6-point system that you're discussing.
Okay, yeah. So the 6-point system is, first of all, you need awareness. I mentioned that already. And what that means is not just awareness of what you want, like what do I want in the future. It's having the awareness of what's not working now. Having the awareness that, you know what, the current results I'm getting are not what I want, and there has to be a reason for that. So this is the way that it works. We consciously have an idea. We send it down to our subconscious. Now, if we don't have a program that operates with that idea, it goes into what we call chaos. It goes into a bit of a battle. And it goes, no. That's not how your program works. That doesn't match. I can't operate with that. And that's why I said to you, and it's the 6th point, is repetition. So first of all, we're going to get the awareness of what's not working. Once you actually get the awareness of what's not working and what you do want, you then are ready to go, okay, the next part of this process, especially when you're thinking about the subconscious that isn't accepting this new idea of what you want, the new reality, that you're aware of what you want. You mentioned before as well that we have limiting beliefs. We all have different limiting beliefs that we've carried through, or the experiences we've gone through. Well, we have to go through a process of forgiveness. And the way we do that is by, first of all, forgiving ourselves, and then forgiving the situation or forgiving the other people that are involved. Now, it doesn't mean forgiving, and this is where some people get a bit stuck. They're like, I'll never forgive that person for what happened. It's not about forgiving them it's not about giving them a pass. It's just about forgiving them because that's how they had to act for that situation. But I'm not holding on to it. You've got to let it go, right? And that's when you unblock yourself. That means you've unlocked a secret door to enable yourself to move to the next step, which is figuring out your why. So when I said about awareness, getting the awareness of what you do want, you're now going to get really clear. What is my purpose? What is the reason that I'm actually what is the idea? Get really clear on what exactly this is that you're going to go after. And I don't mean purpose as in my life's purpose. I mean, what's the meaning that I'm going to go after? What is something big that I want to go after? When you get really clear on what that is and you get really excited by it, and especially a little scared, you're ready. The next part is then you've actually then got to, I've got it written down here, I think. Oh no, it's beliefs. I knew I was going one step too far. It's beliefs. I've only just created these and I think they're really perfect. So then once you've actually got the idea or the purpose, the meaning, you then have to go to remember I said the subconscious is your belief mindset, so your belief mind. We have to change beliefs. Now you've gone through the awareness of forgiveness. You've gone through and figured out what your purpose or why you're going to do something. A lot of people get stuck because they think, how am I going to do that? I don't know how to do that. So maybe I can't do that because I don't know how. Well, there's no growth. If you know how to do something, there's no growth. And you should be wanting to do something that enables you to grow, to be able to give you some meaning to actually what you're doing. So then, and this is why you've probably heard, like there's so many famous celebrities and people who've got heaps and heaps of money and feel empty and feel like, I've got nothing to live for. Because they've got no meaning. They're not growing. We're not growing as human beings. So, and that's what we're on this planet to do, is to actually grow. So once you start, there's a process to change beliefs, and it requires action. It requires repetition, which are the next two. So once you've got a belief that's running that is not serving you, you've already got the awareness, you've gone through the forgiveness process, you now have, what did I say? You've got purpose. You're actually working with some meaning. You know why you're doing something. You're then going through the process of actually changing this belief, which means you could do auto-suggestion, you could do hypnosis. There's a number of different ways. And if people want to know, they can message me, and I'll give them the full diagram of how it works. So, and the beliefs part is the most important part. When I mentioned about, and we actually didn't get to it, but when I will mention to you now, we haven't mentioned it, when I had my proper breakthrough, which is November of 2018, I actually had an emotional impact. And so there's three ways that you can actually change a belief. The first way is by auto-suggestion, and that is by affirmations, daily, consistent, persistent repetition of an affirmation. It's spaced repetition. The second way is via hypnosis, and and obviously someone has to take you through that process, and you've got to be open and susceptible to accepting it. So it doesn't always work 100%, because you've got to remember you've got this program running. If it doesn't want to accept this idea of what you're about to do, it might block you. And then the third way is through an emotional impact. And an emotional impact is something you can't plan for. It happens or it doesn't happen. When I mentioned in November of 2018, I had an emotional impact. I had tears streaming down my face, thinking, why am I crying? I'm listening to Bob Proctor preaching something on one of his shows called The Paradigm Shift. I'm thinking, what the hell is, what's going on? And that's when I heard in my head, oh my God, you're going to be successful this time. As clear as anything, like someone had just said it into my head. I'm like, oh my God. And I knew that I was going to be successful. So the last two bits for this 6-step process is action and repetition. It's inspired action. So once you know what you want, you've changed the process of what you believe. You actually doing that is the action and the repetition. So you've got to take action, but then you've got to have constant repetition. And I said this at the start. Everything in life requires repetition for you to get good at. It's the same with your thoughts. It's the same with your beliefs. Anyway, hope that helps.
That's awesome. 6-step process, guys. And I think everyone should go visit brettdscott.com if they want to contact you as well. You're on Facebook, Instagram. You're on everything, aren't you?
I am on everything. Yeah, LinkedIn. Yep.
All right. So if anybody wants to contact Brett, that's the way to do it. And I so appreciate your time today, Brett. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
No worries.
I think everyone will be leaving here so inspired, so motivated now to make a change in their life, if they haven't already.
Yeah, I appreciate you having on, and sorry if I talked a little fast. It's just that I'm super excited by this information, because it's made a huge impact to my life, and now I have the ability to impact so many other lives that I get a bit overexcited and want to share everything. So
hey, I love the passion. That's what we want.
I have got the passion. Yeah.
Well, you're always welcome on the show, so if you want to come back on in the future, just let me know, and hopefully when all our borders are open up again, we can meet in person and maybe even have an interview in person. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Love it.
Fantastic. Well, I was going to say we'll keep in contact, but we do that anyway. So we will keep in contact and we'll make it happen in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks, Luz.
Well, I hope you'll enjoy today's interview and are feeling so inspired to go achieve your dreams. And make sure to tell your friends about this show. You can check out the rest of our interviews on raveituptv.com. I really hope it is changing your life one interview at a time, you could pretty much say. There's so much to still come, so stay tuned. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.